believe you're doing this. Super cool, man.
Yeah, I tried to get them tired. I was gonna take a shower and all, but I was like, fuck it, this is the only time I'm probably gonna have, so fucking do
Dude, honestly, you should even record this part because I think there's some relevance to like us being dads and like being responsible, even though we're like
It's recorded now. I started recording already. I went and took them for a run at the track, and then it rained here. Did it rain a lot there?
It rained. It's been raining a lot this morning, and then just off and on, but it hasn't been real pretty out today. So
They got.
let me try and fix this camera real quick.
Yeah, I got
All right,
lights
yeah.
and all kinds of other shit I could set up, but I mean, I guess we can
Nah,
put
I
up
think
more.
this is even better. Just it's just so like generic and like dude in his basement, and I'm in the corner of my bedroom.
Yeah. What do you guys
Yeah.
do today?
Actually, man, we've just been chilling. Really, we went to we found this old school arcade place. They had like literally, man, like pinball games from like the '60s that you can play, like real stuff. And they had this, the skee ball. They had these skee ball machines that came out of Coney Island, and like they were used there in 1952, and like all of it worked real well and stuff. It was cool. So
That is pretty cool.
because our daughter Olivia went and saw Emily. So before she went back to school, she wanted to hang out for a little bit. And so yeah, man, just been chilling. Went to grocery store. We go to Aldi now. You ever been to Aldi?
Mm-mm.
So there's this place called Aldi, right? It's like
I've seen it, but I just haven't. There's not one really close to me, so I don't really go to them.
it's the same company as Trader Joe's.
Okay, yeah, I've been there.
But like literally, man, like, and I look at like the back of packages and stuff. Like they have like it's like European company, but they source a lot of their products, but they don't have like a lot of like some of the stuff has GMOs, but like their bread and stuff is just like real product, and like their meat is like normal. So we go there, but it's like a fraction of the cost of like Publix.
I have to try it out.
So
Yeah,
dude,
I
you should
mean,
totally try.
I look at the back and stuff too. I think people look at me like I'm crazy. I'm always reading. It takes me forever to go grocery shopping. I read the back of everything.
Yeah, man, I'm not trying to like. Don't get me wrong. Like I eat some stuff, but for the most part, I try not to just put like if I drink soda, I drink regular soda now. I'm not drinking diet. If I'm gonna drink sugar, I just rather have sugar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know I mean, there's all kinds of weird chemicals and shit. And I wouldn't.
Dude, did you see Biden gave the Saudi prince a fist pound?
I saw he shook hands with the heir again in Israel.
Dude, he popped out. He was walking up to him, man, and the sheik's there, and he just gives him a fist pound like they're brothers. Like, I'm like, dude, do you not understand? Like, you could be back deal cool with this guy, but you can't be jumping out the airplane, hitting him dap like everything's cool, man. Like, I just paid $4.65 for gas.
I know. I've been letting it go down like pretty low. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't know. I don't
Dude, I
really
used
drive that much
to
right now anyway, so it's been okay.
like I used to always just fill my truck up. Like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like always, because I don't know. And now I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'll just put 50. It takes me like 104. Well, like $104 to fill up my gas now.
Yeah. And if I was still driving to the office, I calculated it would be $100 every 2 days for me, over $100 just for the gas. I got to pay for somebody to watch the kids, and I gotta buy something to eat during the day, probably. So I mean,
Yeah.
add that up.
I mean, think about it, man. Like just to like you could break down like people who just like, have hourly rate jobs, right? So like that's what we should try and look into is see like what's the hourly rate that people make, or even a median income. It's probably what, like 45 to 55,000 a year.
Yeah, something like that.
So like that may be an individual, maybe, but like a dual income house, it's probably what, like 80,000. But like if you start adding up all the basic stuff, like what does that cover?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like rent.
Right now,
Like how much is
doesn't
even
cover
rent?
much.
Oh my gosh. It's brutal, bro. Like I don't even know how people like I don't know how people get it. It's wild. I was in Publix actually, because we'll go to Publix for like certain things because they just have things that we like and we'll pay the extra money. And sometimes they do this like buy one get one. But there was these young guys that were looking at bread and they had little kids. They were like the kids were maybe 2 or 3. And like literally, man, the bread was like the cheapest bread was like $3.35 a loaf. I was like, damn.
I know the kind that we get, it's like $6, like $5.99. a loaf.
Yeah,
I'm like, damn.
it's crazy, man. Just don't make no sense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've been
I don't
watching
really.
a lot of that the Uvalde stuff. We should probably do an intro to what we're doing here too, though. You can start that.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, just like really, just two regular guys, just talking about everyday stuff. From like whether it's politics to race issues. Like really, that's what I want to do, man. I want to put stuff out there that people are afraid to talk about, and it's just like normal conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Uh,
exactly what I don't care if people get mad. I mean, I'm sorry if I offend people, but I'm gonna say exactly what
and
I
I think the cool thing too, though, is to state that anything I say, as long as proper information is given back to me, like my mind could be changed as long as it's objective.
yeah, that's a
You know what I
normal
mean? Like
human
I'm,
being.
I just don't want to rip off opinions. I want to use fact when I say stuff.
Yeah,
You know.
that's
So,
being
and
a
I think
normal
that's the
person.
difference.
Most people,
What's that?
that's being a normal person. I mean, I've changed my mind on a lot of issues if somebody has a valid point, but if somebody's just won't see the other side of things, I don't even want to talk to people like that, man. That's just a waste of my time.
Yeah. No, it's just like I watched this thing this morning on CBS Sunday Morning. Just like a cool show. I used to watch it with my dad when I was little because I'd be at his house on the weekends and he always watched it. And it had this really cool author. In fact, I'll send you a link. It's this black dude, and but his best friend is this white guy, like super fair skin, kind of like you, white guy, but he has this long like red hair. But they were college buddies, and this dude, I forget his name. I'll have to look it up. But he's recently like written. I mean, he's written a bunch of books, and a lot of them are very controversial because they're from like a black man's perspective or inner city youth and this and that. And some of them have been getting banned. And this is the shit that I don't like. Like, I'm not all for certain things that are out there, but I think a lot of times, like the book bannings that are happening right now are just a fell swoop. And so you really don't look at it. Like, I don't think elementary kids should be having to read about like, anything sexual related.
No.
But I think they could read about a book from the perspective of a young black kid in the inner city if they never, understood it. You know what I mean? And I don't know, this guy was cool because the lady who was interviewing, she asked the white guy, and it's a typical media question because he was white. He goes, well, what? She was like, so what do you have to do with being involved with, books that are just about black people? Like who are you, lady? Like, you don't even know me. Like, how are you going to judge me like that? But that's like the stereotype. If you're white, you just don't get it. And I don't think that's true across the board, man.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of black people. I've always had black friends.
Yeah.
I don't have to go out and tell everybody on Facebook about it all the time like some of these people do that probably don't even know
Right.
any black people.
Because at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter because
Yeah.
what I think is like the root of all this, and I was talking to that friend of mine in Louisiana the other day about it. At the end of the day, the real root is poverty and dysfunction. Like, I don't care whether you're white, black, Chinese, like it doesn't matter. Poverty and dysfunction affect everybody in the same way. It's just for whatever reason, we're just so separated by it now. It's like I always use the example of like Brooklyn, Baltimore. Like, that place is wild when you think about it. It's just straight hood, but it's all white people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of my
it's
best
literally
friends lives there. He wanted to come on here and talk with us too. He has a million stories. I mean, I've been on the phone with him when there's people. This couple one day, he called me. They were trying to steal. He had the hood of I forget what kind of car he was putting together. He had the hood of the car in the yard, leaning against his garage. And all of a sudden, he sees it running, like going across the yard, like some guy had it above his head running. And he ran out, like, what the hell? What the fuck are you doing? And all of a sudden, a pregnant lady leans out the window and starts shooting at him at his.
Yeah.
A lady that was.
Yeah.
That's the kind of shit that happens over there, though.
No, but definitely, but like if you think about it, like think about what I said, man. The two core issues are poverty and dysfunction.
Yeah.
That breeds everything. That's like the perfect mix for having a pregnant lady pull out a gun while her boyfriend's stealing a hood of a
Probably
car.
on drugs. When people have no hope, nothing to look forward to, drugs help. I mean, drugs help people that are not poor also, but
Yeah.
the majority of the drugs are coming out of there. And fentanyl is all that's
Yeah.
out there now. It's scary.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy, man.
That shit's
It's
scary.
crazy. It just must be so cheap to make.
Yeah. They're shipping it from China. There's like 2 different chemicals I mean, I've watched a lot of things about it. They're shipping it to Mexico. They're pressing it to pills. Looks just like the old 30s that we used to get, those blue 30s. Looks
Yeah.
exactly like them. But once somebody gets it over the border, they're saying that people are cutting it again, but I don't know. I don't know why people are ODing. Some people probably aren't used to. I mean, the tolerance for fentanyl is a lot different
Yeah.
than heroin.
I can't even
Yeah.
imagine. Did you ever do fentanyl?
Yeah, I'm not like pure. I've done the patches and the lollipops, but this was back in like 20 years ago. But I used to
No, no,
have
I know.
like the
I
nicotine
mean, I guess we should
patches.
make a full disclaimer. Like you and I both have changed our lives, and we got experience in a lot of things. But
Yeah, well, this was before fentanyl was like mainstream. Like nobody heard of it. And this, I remember I was selling
but that
this.
was probably medical. You probably got if you had a
Yeah,
patch and a lollipop, that was some medical shit.
this lady, I was trading her shit every month for all her pills and all her fentanyl, all her shit. And she had the patches. It was like nicotine patches. And I didn't know how strong they were. I was pretty, pretty bad drug addict. So I was like, I'll just stick like 3 of these on me. And they last for like their time release. So I forget the hours. They come like every 3 hours, you get a burst. I'll be walking in the store like, oh, like it would hit you. But then I was like, why am I waiting 3 hours? I'll just cut it open. So I would cut it open and chew on it. And that's what people do. They suck the gel out of it. And oh my
Oh,
God, you could easily OD doing that. I don't know how I
yeah, I
did.
bet.
Stupid. I'll be chewing it like gum for like 10 minutes and I'll be fucked up for like 3 days
That's
doing
crazy. You
that
probably
shit.
don't even realize it.
Yeah, you just be chewing it, put it out, and just do that for a few days until you just run out of juice. It's fucking
That's crazy, man.
yeah.
But now everybody's just shooting it up.
Yeah, or eating the pills, or people are getting pills and thinking it's Xanax even, and it's fucking fentanyl. Getting Coke with fentanyl, and it's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
It's not even
That's
worth
wild.
going out and partying if you're a high school. That's why I worry about the kids, man. Like you're gonna come across somebody that's got something one day, and then
Yeah.
how many times did we snort some shit we didn't know what it was back in the day? I did it all the time.
Like whatever. Like, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. Hey, I got this. All right, cool.
Yeah,
Let's
but
do it.
now that means your life. I mean, back then it could have been too, but that's a slim chance that you're gonna die. Nobody
Yeah.
had heroin at Chesapeake that I know of, not really.
No.
I mean, I knew a few people that probably
No.
did it, but not
Yeah, but it wasn't like the party drug, where you're
no.
like, hey, let's do this. But that's what it is now with kids, man. Like it's just completely wide open,
The internet,
you
man.
know?
They just sell shit on the internet.
Yeah.
We were talking about that, like it's just open market on the internet.
You could probably just order stuff, right?
Yeah.
And just send it. That's what I don't get about people. Like people like Liz and I talk a lot. We'll be out wherever, grocery store, eating. And it's just like you get this overall sense that people just literally don't give a fuck anymore. Like the way they talk to people, the way they behave,
There's
like
no respect
zero.
for adults. Like, yeah, I used to be afraid. I would never call an adult by their first name even when I was a kid. I would probably still
Yeah.
call your mom Miss Diane, right? That's her name. I would
Right.
probably still call her that if I saw her.
It's funny, man, but like sometimes like when I get quiet, like I think like where did it go wrong? Like why is it just so fucking messed up? And again, there's still hope, don't get me wrong, but it seems like the overwhelming sense is just like anything is okay, you know?
I'm trying to instill it in the kids now. Like I talk about drugs and stuff with Matt already. I'm like, don't ever like if you have any questions,
Yeah,
they come to me. My dad didn't really talk to me because he never had any experience with that shit. My dad just drank. He didn't do anything.
right,
And he was kind of a nerd. He went straight into the army. He was in the military his whole life. He wasn't like a
right.
criminal or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know where I went.
But I mean, I guess, like what makes you like that? What makes you have that hunt or that want to be like that? Because not everybody's like that, but like I think that'd be cool to interview like a series of people, you know, and just see what the common trait is, you know what I mean? Which makes someone be able to go outside the back box in that way, you know?
It's usually stress or something happens in your life and you want to escape. I mean, that's what I would think. And then once you're
Yeah.
there, you might not still feel that way, but you're trapped once you're addicted.
See, because I know me, like when I was young, I never thought about consequences. Like I would just do things.
Yeah,
You
you
know what I
did do
mean? It
that
was
a lot.
just like, huh?
Yeah, you did do that. I
But
always
like, you know
thought
what I
about
mean?
it,
Like,
but you didn't.
huh?
Yeah. I always did, but you didn't think about the consequence.
No, and I mean, I typically was around like you or a couple other guys, and you know, but the point is like, what makes you that way? And that would be cool, man, to be able to like find like a series of people from different backgrounds, all different ethnicities and just see if you could figure out like a common trait or common trauma. Because I would say, like kind of you said, it's something like it has to be like a trauma or a something that happened in your childhood that gives you that ability to just do it. You know what I mean? Because truthfully, I felt free, you know,
Yeah, I felt
until
like
the
nothing was gonna
consequences.
happen, yeah. You feel like nothing they're not gonna do it, nothing's gonna happen. I felt like that when I used to
Yeah,
sell
no,
drugs, they're never gonna do anything, like, I thought I was untouchable 'cause you got away
yeah,
with it for so long.
it's like the bag of chips night.
Yeah. That was ridiculous. I thought
You're
I
like,
knew we were getting in trouble that night as soon as I saw the lights, though. I still
yeah, but
got
I
out of
didn't
the
think
way.
you to be like, you looked at me and you're like, we're outrunning these
In a
guys.
Dodge Intrepid, or I forget what, year it was, but
It
like a
was a Dodge
97,
Intrepid. It
9
was,
yeah.
yeah, it was maroon, man.
They caught me pretty quick.
They really
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. You could tell the story. I mean, I'll tell it from my side. I didn't even know you were doing. I I had sold, I think I got like a quarter pound of weed and I sold it all in quarters that night except for 1 quarter I had left. And I put it under my seat, and then you wanted to get something to eat. We were at a party, I think at McIntyre's house,
Yeah,
and we were
and we
drinking.
drove down to that little gas station.
Yeah, and we were drinking all night, so I was pretty drunk. I don't know what all you were doing, but you might have just been doing I don't know, you might have just been drunk, but you went in there and you came out and you didn't say anything, and then we started driving and I see the lights behind us and I looked at you and I don't remember what you said or what happened, how we figured you told me that you stole shit, I don't remember. But I just said we're gonna outrun them. We didn't outrun them. And
Yeah, they got us, and I remember them slamming you on the hood, on the trunk. I
yeah,
mean,
well, they did. They slammed you first because I don't think you had ever really been arrested before. That was the first time. And I was like,
that was my first time getting arrested.
yeah, and I was like, just do what they say. I said, they said, put your hands out the window, and you were like, nah, or something. I was like, yes, do that. And then they had you on the back. They put me on the front, and then he was gonna let me go, and then he looked. This is what he said anyway, and he looked and saw the weed, and I was like, fuck. But
Did you get a charge for that?
yeah, they locked me up overnight, and then what was I, 7? I might have been 18. Maybe that's why they didn't let me out. But I had to walk from the
Uh,
courthouse and I didn't have any money. No, nothing was open. So I had to walk to Marley Station Mall and I called Mark Chernowski to come get me. Yeah, that was stupid. I mean, I didn't get in any trouble. It was like I got like a stet docket or something or
yeah,
DPJ or something.
that was that was when. So I had a sub in my pants.
Yeah, and you stuffed it in their car or something.
Yeah, yeah. So like the whole time, because I was a minor, he put me in the front seat, and so I'm like sitting there, and while he was out, they were like booking you or writing up a report or something. Like he had my hands behind my back, and I'm like wedging this like sandwich out of my pants, and I get it to come out of my left pant leg, and I like roll it up. I get to push it up with my feet, and I stuff it behind his center console. I mean, I just like wedged it in there.
They never found it, I don't think. Did they? Just the chips.
No, because and again, this is like I'm a little touched. I thought it'd been cool if like a week later he was like, "What is that smell?" and then found his nasty ass sandwich.
They were probably mad for sure.
Yeah, they didn't like me at all when they took me in because I started. They couldn't put me in the cell at first, and I started like talking trash to all these guys. I told them I was like, I know you. You were that high school kid that everybody made fun of, and they're like, look, dude, if you don't shut up, we're gonna put you in. And I just kept running my mouth. You know
Yeah,
how
yeah.
stupid.
I mean, how bored do you have to be to chase 2 guys that stole a bag of chips? I mean, that's fucking nowadays, they probably wouldn't do anything. I think you're allowed to steal chips.
No,
You're
I think
allowed to
that's what I
steal.
mean. All right, a good example is just like I mean, you go to any major city now, and that's the
Mm,
thing. The young boys know now. Like at least back then, like I'm not gonna say like I was scared, but I was afraid. I was scared to say get locked up. I wasn't scared. That's the one thing that I never, and I got beat up by police several times. You know,
yeah,
I was never really scared to take an ass whooping because I knew I was doing stupid shit.
yeah,
But I think today they just like, I mean, young boys, they can girls, whatever, they get away. They know. It's
yeah,
like people stealing from like department stores and stuff.
yeah. I used to do that shit all the time, but they beat me up at the mall that one time. Me and Adam and Mike Fox were there. But yeah, like I no, but most people wouldn't do that. Now you can go up to like 900 and still misdemeanor, I think is we get charged with. I don't know. I don't know every state what
Well, yeah, because it's just it's too much liability almost for them to like. I don't know. That's what I really have trouble understanding though. Like, and this is really controversial. Whenever there's like a beating or a homicide involved, but if the perpetrator who is was supposed to be under arrest has some type of weapon or made some type of assault, and I'm not saying death is justified by any means, but like you never hear the narrative by the media that, well, they were fighting back. You know, like Chris Rock does a really good stand up on it. He's like, if you're getting arrested, just get yourself arrested. You know, it's like me. Like I literally, I think 2 of the 3 times I got my ass completely beat by police officers because I resisted arrest. I
Yeah.
deserve to have my ass completely beat by police officers. And that's what I don't get, you know? Like I do believe too, that's one thing you talk about changing of opinion. I do believe in a certain amount of white privilege. My narrative is probably very different than the common, but I believe that there is some out there.
Yeah, I mean, I could have gotten shot plenty of times. I've had a lot of interactions with the police because I was a criminal for a long time. So, I mean, there's one time I think I told you when at the methadone clinic that time, that guy should have easily, he told me, he had his gun on me. He was like, I was going to shoot you. What are you doing? As a traffic stop. And I got out of the car and started walking towards him. Like, I was in the wrong. He could have easily, he probably would have been justified in shooting me.
Yeah.
And that's when I was probably, I don't know, 275. I was huge back then.
Oh,
He was like,
he's
yeah,
probably
you're a
very
big dude
intimidated
running in
watching
my,
you come. He's just,
and I was in a panic because I was 5 minutes from the methadone clinic and I knew I was going to miss it. And I was like, I don't care what happens. I'm going. And he was just like, well, where's
isn't
it
that
at?
crazy, man?
He followed me there. I don't know if he would have done that if I wasn't white.
Good point. See that's the example of white privilege that
Yeah.
I believe in. If a 275-pound brother
Oh,
in
yeah.
your statue was walking towards him, actually, because let's be real, like you were starting to, you know, come down. You were jonesing, so like you probably didn't have, you know, your body language may have not been as it is now. Let's say, and if you were black, you definitely had a higher probability of being shot.
Yeah, I felt it. And I did that twice and didn't get shot. The fucking first time I got a few tickets, but the first time I went in and told everybody, they're like, you're right. And the cop was sitting on the hood of my car. But I was not in my right state of mind. Like I was just like, I'm going. You can arrest me or chase me or whatever, but I'm fucking going. And he was like, what? What the fuck is wrong with you? That's what he said to me. He's like, where is it
Like,
at?
I need my shit.
Yeah, he followed me there. The second time, the guy was a dickhead and he took my license and he went to the wrong methadone clinic, so couldn't find him. So I called the fucking headquarters, Anne Arundel County headquarters, and they had to find the guy and I had to meet him. And he was pissed because his sergeant was like, why would you let him go? So,
Why'd he take your ID though?
because he was going to write me a ticket, but I said I'm late, and he's like, I'll meet you there. And he was going to start doing the paperwork, I guess, on me, but he went to the wrong place. So then,
He was
like,
gonna meet you there to write a ticket. That's stupid.
I know. I was like, just follow me there. And he was like, I know where it is. I was like, okay. But there's a lot of methadone clinics. So I ended up having to meet him at a 7-Eleven. I ended up getting a shitload of tickets because he was so pissed. I called his sergeant. I wouldn't do that now. Like I was in such a weird state of mind. Like I did things that's what drugs make you do.
Yeah,
I never would have done any of that shit now.
it's wild, man. It's absolutely nuts. Like if you think about just like even those couple of stories you shared about, like the intensity in the pull to get to a methadone clinic. Like think about how many millions of people you think go through that every morning. And don't they open and close real early?
They open at 5 and they close at 11. And I lived like 15 minutes away. I'd wait till like 10:45 or 10:50 and go like 120 miles an hour like every day. I was a fucking idiot. But yeah, most people did that. And my buddy Chris would do the same thing. And like they wouldn't open the doors for you. Like if you're there, unless they really liked you, they wouldn't open the door. So I would go in the bathroom. If he was late, he'd be like, I'm almost there. And I'd open the door and like, oh, act like I'm leaving. I'm like, oh, here's Chris. And he'd run in real quick. He'd be like, you motherfucker, stop doing that shit.
What was so? But like, what was so? Like, were you? Cause you were on methadone to try and get off the dope or the pills or both?
Everything, yeah. But really what it
And
was,
so what would methadone do though? It would just like
fuck you up worse than the shit. I mean, after a while you get used to it, but for the first probably year, I was just, and then I would buy other people's bottles too and take more than I'm supposed to. I was on
you just
100.
drink it.
Yeah,
What does it come in a drink?
yeah. And it fucks your stomach up a lot too, and it fucks your teeth up. Like it's not good for you. I was on it for 8 years, so I don't know what the damage it's done to me, but
So did they ever try tapering you?
no, I had to do it myself. I did it over a few years, and then they wouldn't take me down the last little bit, so I stopped paying, and that's the only time they were like, "Oh, if you're not paying, we'll take you down." So they did a 20-day detox on me.
And then this is what I like. I think it'd be really cool to like dig into like methadone clinics and Suboxone clinics
Yeah,
because they're all subsidized by the government.
they're getting rich.
You know,
Fuck yeah.
so, oh my gosh. I mean, think about it. You just said, as a very well experienced drug user, former drug user, let's be real, that the methadone is better and intense than the other.
I thought it was. I would do that, and then I would do coke all day and speedball all day, but it eats away your methadone, so by the morning you're fucking feeling like shit, so you have to do it all over again. And I would
Yeah.
do heroin on top of it. Most people do Xanax, dope, all everything on top of it. Now it's probably fentanyl mixed with the.
So what percentage, if you had to take just a, and again, totally roundabout, but if you take 10 people, what percentage of 10 people or 100 people actually use a methadone clinic and get off the shit properly?
Out of 10 people, probably zero. I would
All right, out
say
of
out of
100.
1,000 people, there might be like five that actually do it, and probably out of those five, three of them are coming back. I mean, it's very. They told me I'll
Yeah.
be back. They're like, "We'll see you back," and I was like, "No, you won't." I'm very rare case that. I mean, it was hard. I ain't gonna say I haven't relapsed ever. I've relapsed a couple times, like small, and handled it myself. I never got back to the point where I was,
No,
fucked up. But
definitely. But that I think between methadone and Suboxone, I mean, it's just like, I mean,
poison.
it's horrible.
It's poison.
Because it'd be different if I could see if it was used to actually get people off of it, but it seems it's just used to exploit them.
It's harder to get off than I've done them all. I've done Suboxone. I've done every methadone is the hardest one to get off. It took me 6 months before I could even get back to regular life. Felt like shit.
And so you tapered over a 6 month period.
I tapered over years, but then once I got off of it, from that point on, and then I worked out every day and I went on a like strict diet. It was terrible, man. It was painful. Some of the worst pain
But
I
like
ever.
it hurt. Like that's what I've read before. It's literally like detoxing off of like a physical addiction to alcohol, right?
Yeah, I never detoxed off alcohol, but methadone. If you ask anybody, I've seen a few people on the internet on YouTube talk about coming off methadone. Most of them come off in prison. I can't imagine doing that. But yeah, coming off of methadone was like you can't sleep, and it's like constant pain. Like your skin hurts, your bones hurt. It's just like you can't get comfortable. You're hot, you're cold. And I worked out like that every day. Like it was fucking brutal. But I think that helped me and made me.
That's what I was gonna say. Because you probably started creating the natural like dopamine and serotonins that you were losing, so your hole was shortened. But you had purpose, man. Like I think that's one of the biggest things that is lacking for people today, and I think social media is the biggest contributor. Is people don't have purpose, And I mean, they may believe they do, but I think you get a false sense of it. I mean, I'm guilty of that, your ego can get so big sometimes, like you think you're doing what's right, and then before you know it, you're not. And I really think, like, I think social media just really glorifies just all fake shit.
Yeah, being rich is the best. Like I think if
Yeah,
you have kids, that should be the main focus of your life. That's all my life is basically dedicated to is making sure they're all right, making sure they have. You're the same way.
yeah,
That's all I do. Anytime I have free time, I'm good. Like today, I went out and did shit with them all day.
yeah.
I
And then
never did.
keeping a balance with my wife,
Yeah,
trying to, I think just the family. I mean, truthfully, man, kids and family changed my life, man. Saved my life in a lot of ways. Because I don't know that I'd be the guy I am without, you know, in my first marriage having these children that I love deeply, And then now I just got it really good. I mean, things are challenging, but you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Definitely not like it was. But they do, man. They give you, and that's what I mean. Like, if you don't have, like, that's where it's hard for me to relate. Like, even people our age who don't have children, like, what pushes them? I don't know.
I
I
see
mean,
a
don't
lot
get
of
me wrong.
people online, like just they don't even talk about their kids. They're just like bragging, like what they're gonna buy, what they're gonna do. Like, what about your? I'm always thinking, what about your kids? I don't know.
Yeah,
You're
man.
putting
Like,
that
I
on
think
you.
it's funny when they post, like, people post, like, when they flex, they're like, yo, I got these rollies. Like, normal people, like business guys.
Yeah,
They got two rollies. They just posted a picture of their new Benz. I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
Yeah.
what Facebook is really supposed to be for, but I like it because it connected me with all the people that I hadn't talked to in a long time. I isolated
Yeah,
myself
man. I mean,
pretty much.
honestly, that's how you and I got connected again. I
Yeah, I
mean,
was
how
in
long
a
has it
whole
been
nother
now?
world forever. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't even in the
Yeah,
real world.
I thought you were dead.
Yeah,
I was like, he's either dead or doesn't want to be found.
or in prison. I mean, I don't know how I didn't end up there. I'm glad I didn't, but
God, God, something. I mean, yeah, it's a miracle, really. It's a miracle. You and I both are miracles in a lot of different ways, man. You
yeah,
know, I mean, look, I'll go ahead and say it. Like, you and I are both really good fathers. That's a big deal. Not hating on our parents, but the reality is we didn't have the best upbringing.
yeah. I mean,
you know,
I never like. I mean, when I was little, we didn't have a lot of money, but once we moved out to like Pasadena, my dad was always working. We always had like
right?
food and stuff, but yeah, like they weren't around that much.
No, that's what I mean. It was like the balance of things. I think that's what I've really wanted to do as a dad is just be present and available. You know,
Yeah,
um, and that's been cool, man. That's been fun. I like my kids.
yeah. That's all I do.
Yeah.
This thing is saying I have 10 minutes left unless I get Zoom Pro. We're not really tech savvy on this
How many
shit here.
minutes? How long we been doing it?
35 minutes, which I mean, it's not
I mean, yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, if you want, we could finish up and just edit, and
before it
then
runs out.
what I was thinking is we could do for the next one. We should like remember we were talking about doing like 5 topics
Yeah,
because I think what'll happen is, and not that we have to stay on topic, but I think it'll be cool if you got 5 topics, even if it takes us 5 or 6 shows to cover 5 topics. It's just always something to check back and forth, and then brings in current events. I think that would be cool.
yeah. I would like to do that where we talk about what's going on. Like that Uvalde thing. I've been watching like what everybody's opinion is, and like I watched the video. It's just hard. It's hard to watch. Have you seen it?
Nah, I mean, I saw one part of it where they were at the door, and like I heard the comment where like they had him in sight, and then nobody did anything.
Yeah. He started shooting at them, and then they all ran, and then they waited. But who knows
Yeah,
if they could have saved? I don't know if they could have saved anybody or not. But man, that's your job. Like, don't be a cop if you're scared to. They could have
right.
flashbanged them or something. I don't know. They got shut. You
Something.
know, they got something they could do. Pepper spray them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have just
I
bombed
mean,
that guy with shit.
I think that's an issue too, though. That most cops, though, like I think for what it's worth, cops aren't funded properly. They don't get paid enough, and they don't get the right training. Like
Yeah, they
the
definitely
police
did that.
academy of today, like does nothing, in my opinion, to really train these guys. And like again, I'll piss people off when I say this, but just because you've been in the police department for 10 years doesn't give you the ability to be 65 pounds overweight,
Yeah,
and you can't, like, you know what I mean. It's like, come on, man, like you're like, but again, what's their incentive though?
they could never catch
Other
me,
than
man. When I would run when I was younger, they would never be even close. They're all overweight. They don't train at all. They should make them have a yearly, like the army does, PT test. They do it like every
yeah,
couple years. Make sure you can actually run and do basic exercises to catch somebody.
yeah, I mean, like the Uvalde, that scene, it's like an iconic scene from a Simpsons episode when what's the chief of police rolls up and they're all like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like, and I'm not making a mockery, and I'm not laughing at the situation, but it's like, God bless, like you guys messed up bad,
yeah. Those guys
and
probably
there's
don't
no
see much
excuse.
action. I guess they don't do. They're all chubby for sure.
Yeah, but or even just the mental capacity to be like, I don't need an approval. I need to shoot this guy. He's killing our kids. Like, how hard of a decision is that to make?
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be
Especially,
scared shitless, but if I knew kids were in there, I'm going in, man. I don't. I mean, I'm gonna try to do something, especially if I have a gun
don't you think
myself.
wait, what don't you think instinct? Like, I mean, think about, again, shooting and fighting are very different. But if you think of fighting, like, you've been in many fights. Like, instinct kicks in. Like, to me, that's how these police officers should be trained. But I think they're so scared, and it's like, again, there's just like there's no balance between anything. You
Yeah.
know?
That should be a reaction. They should train enough to where they don't even have to think about it, just like the military. Like it's just a reaction.
Yeah. It was like the story, like, I don't know if you remember, it happened in Minnesota. It was right around, it wasn't George Floyd, it was another one. Maybe it was Michigan. but it never got a lot of airplay, and I don't know why. I mean, I have an opinion that I'll go into some other time, but it was a black guy got pulled over, and his girlfriend was in a car, and he had a kid, and he did nothing. I mean, literally, dude did zippy zero. And this young guy, young white cop, literally just shot him right in the chest, like because he got nervous because the guy went to put his life. You remember that one?
The video of it, right?
Yeah, like a video right there. But if you think about it, that never really got a lot of airplay. The only ones that get airplay is when there's like a tussle between the two. Like this dude was straight up 100% did nothing. Got pulled over on a traffic violation, takes like 8 in the chest or maybe whatever. And I think his little girl was even there. Or I know the mom was there. But like, why didn't we hear more about that guy?
Yeah, scary. And then everybody that knows that guy or in that town is gonna be scared to death to get pulled over, which they should be. I would be too.
Yeah. That was something that Liz and I were watching. They were interviewing different parents, and they interviewed a black mother. And she said, and this is where like Liz looked at me, she's like, I never thought about that. She was like, as a black mother and father, if you got teenagers, you literally worry about your son getting pulled over in certain neighborhoods and just getting shot.
Yeah.
And like for the first, like honestly, when I heard that mother, especially as a father, when I heard that mother say that so just compassionately, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, then I understand rioting. I mean, not rioting, but being upset and protesting. The rioting, that was different. That was people. Some of it might have been.
Well, yeah, I mean, call it how it is, though. Like, let's call it how it is. Like, I'm down for a riot, and I'm down to bring the ruckus. Mm-hmm. But you can't act like you just didn't burn cities down, Seattle.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Parts of Minnesota. And then again, January 6th, whatever. You call it whatever you want. It was on the Capitol. But what about all the other riots that happened in all the major cities? How come nobody, like...
Yeah. Well, they're not going to do anything about that. I mean... No. I can understand them being upset. I'd be upset too if somebody got killed that I know. And I mean, George Floyd, I mean, he didn't sound like he was the greatest guy. But he didn't deserve to get killed like that. But I mean,
no, it was the move, man. The way the dude just like what I don't get, and this is where like I've started like, because I don't know, I try to analyze things, and like to me, I wonder if he knew he was gonna kill that man. I mean, like he's the only one that knows. That man is the only man in this world that knows, because you've been in many fights. You get to a point where you are dominating someone. Like he knew he was dominating him. Do you think he knew he was suffocating to a point of death?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't take much to sit him up. The guy could have been handcuffed and sat on the curb. Why do you have to leave him?
He could have pulled him up, right?
Yeah, that's all he had to do.
And I think that's what happens. Most white people will be like, well, they'll just argue the narrative that he was a bad person and he stole. I get that, but that's not the point. That's not why they charged him. They didn't charge him because he was a bad person. They didn't charge the police officer for the murder. They charged him for murder because of the movie he had on him.
Yeah. And I've been
point, and I think that to me is never argued properly. That's why America is great.
Yeah.
Because just because this guy is whatever, let's call it, just because this guy's a piece of shit to many, doesn't give him the right to be murdered. That's the point of America.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I've been a piece of shit. I've done way worse shit than that.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, email us at thesefnguys.22@gmail.com. We'd love to have you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.